Chosen one, this night will change everything. Tonight is not an ordinary night, and you are not an ordinary person stumbling across ordinary words. There is a reason your spirit feels restless, a reason your heart has been carrying both a strange weight and a quiet expectation, because when heaven marks a moment, it does not always announce it with thunder. Sometimes it whispers into the soul of the chosen and waits for them to recognize that the shift they have been praying for is no longer coming someday but is unfolding right now, and you have cried enough silent tears to water a forest, you have fought battles no one clapped for, you have endured misunderstandings that made you question your own reflection, yet through it all something unseen has preserved you. Something has blocked what should have destroyed you, something has strengthened you in seasons that were designed to break you, and that something is not luck, it is not coincidence. It is divine orchestration aligning events in ways you cannot yet fully see. Because this is the night when confusion begins to untangle, when delays begin to make sense, when betrayal begins to expose the hands that meant harm and reveal the hands that were secretly protecting you, and the very people who underestimated you will soon have to reconcile with the reality that what they thought was your ending was only your preparation, because the chosen are often hidden before they are revealed, tested before they are trusted, pressed before they are promoted, and you have been in a pressing season where everything felt tight, restricted, and uncomfortable, yet pressure is what produces oil, and oil is what anoints kings, and you have been anointed in private for a public moment that is closer than you think. This night carries a turning point energy, a divine interruption that breaks cycles you have been battling for years, cycles of self-doubt, cycles of rejection, cycles of starting over without seeing completion, and while you were wondering why the resistance was so intense, you did not realize that opposition often increases when breakthrough is near, because darkness senses when light is about to rise, and it tries to intimidate what it cannot ultimately stop. But you were not built to be stopped, you were built to endure, to learn, to rise, to become, and every tear you cried has been counted, every prayer you whispered has been recorded, every time you chose integrity over revenge has been noticed, and this night marks the beginning of visible evidence that your faith was not wasted, that your obedience was not foolish, that your patience was not pointless, because doors that remain shut are about to open in ways that do not require you to beg, explain, or force your way through, and the favor that finds you will not feel like struggle, it will feel like alignment, like walking into rooms where your name has already been spoken with respect, like opportunities meeting you halfway, like clarity replacing confusion, and the same people who questioned your calling will quietly observe your elevation, not because you fought them, not because you proved yourself through argument, but because divine timing silenced what human doubt tried to amplify, and tonight you may not see fireworks in the sky, but something subtle and powerful is shifting in the spirit realm, rearranging connections, redirecting paths, canceling assignments that were sent to discourage you, and restoring pieces of your confidence that were chipped away by criticism and delay, because the chosen one often walks through isolation before influence, often experiences pruning before prosperity, often faces misunderstanding before honor, and you have been in that pruning season where relationships fell apart, plans collapsed, and support systems shifted, yet what felt like loss was actually divine editing, removing what could not accompany you into your next dimension. And though it hurt to let go, though it felt unfair to be misunderstood, though you questioned why loyalty was not reciprocated. The truth is you were being refined for a calling that required stronger boundaries, deeper wisdom, and unshakable faith, and this night draws a line between who you were and who you are becoming, because you are not the same person who entered this last season. You have grown in discernment, you have learned to read between words, you have recognized patterns that once trapped you, and you have developed a resilience that surprises even you, and that resilience is about to be rewarded, not in small, temporary ways, but in foundational shifts that change how you see yourself and how the world responds to you, because when the chosen steps into alignment, there is a ripple effect that touches career, relationships, finances, creativity, and purpose all at once, and while you once felt scattered, you are about to feel focused, while you once felt delayed, you are about to feel accelerated, while you once felt overlooked, you are about to feel acknowledged, not by chasing validation but by embodying the confidence that comes from knowing you survived what was designed to eliminate you, and survival is not your final chapter, thriving is, impact is, legacy is, and this night begins the internal shift that makes external change inevitable, because transformation always starts within before it manifests around you, and something inside you is settling. A fear that once dominated your thoughts is losing its grip, an insecurity that once silenced your voice is fading, a hesitation that once delayed your decisions is dissolving, and you may not even fully realize it yet, but tomorrow you will wake up slightly different, slightly clearer, slightly stronger, and that slight difference will compound day after day until the life you once prayed for feels normal, until the peace you once begged for becomes your baseline, until the respect you once hoped for becomes standard. And those who tried to provoke you will find that you no longer react the same way, because elevation changes perspective, and when you rise, you no longer wrestle with what is beneath you, you simply walk forward, and this forward movement will not be loud or arrogant, it will be steady, intentional, and undeniable, because what is divinely orchestrated does not require excessive announcement, it reveals itself through results, and your results are about to speak. Your consistency is about to pay off, your hidden preparation is about to meet visible opportunity, and the night that felt heavy will give birth to a morning that feels hopeful, and in that hope you will realize that nothing you endured was random, nothing you survived was meaningless, nothing you lost was outside the awareness of the one who called you chosen, because being chosen does not mean being exempt from struggle, it means being equipped to overcome it. And you have been equipped in ways you did not appreciate while you were learning. But now you can look back and see how each disappointment redirected you, how each delay protected you, how each heartbreak strengthened you, and that awareness will anchor you in gratitude rather than bitterness, in confidence rather than comparison, in purpose rather than pressure, and as this night unfolds, even if it looks quiet on the outside, trust that something monumental is being finalized behind the scenes. Conversations are happening that will benefit you, decisions are being made that will favor you, pathways are being cleared that will welcome you, and when it manifests, it will feel both surprising and familiar, surprising because of its scale, familiar because your spirit has sensed it all along, and you will stand in that moment remembering this night, remembering when everything still looked the same yet felt different, remembering when you decided to believe again despite exhaustion, remembering when you chose hope over despair, and that choice will mark the true turning point, because faith is often the bridge between where you are and where you are destined to be, and tonight you are stepping onto that bridge with a courage that has been forged in fire, refined in silence, and strengthened through survival, and no matter what yesterday looked like, no matter how intense the opposition felt, no matter how long the waiting season lasted, this night declares that the story is not ending in defeat but pivoting into destiny, not collapsing in frustration, but expanding into fulfillment, not fading into obscurity but rising into significance, and you, chosen one, will look back on this chapter and realize that everything truly began to change when you decided that the darkness would not define you, that the delay would not discourage you, that the doubt would not dismantle you, because what is marked by heaven cannot be erased by earth, and what is destined for you cannot be permanently blocked by temporary resistance, so breathe deeply, release the weight of what you cannot control, and embrace the quiet but powerful truth that this night is aligning you with breakthroughs you once thought were impossible, restoring confidence you thought was gone, and positioning you for a future that reflects the strength, faith, and resilience you have cultivated in private, because by the time the sun rises again, something within you will have locked into place. A certainty that no external storm can shake, and from that certainty you will move differently, speak differently, decide differently, and live differently, and that difference will change everything. Chosen one, as this night continues to unfold, there is a deeper layer of transformation taking place that you cannot measure with your eyes but you can feel in your spirit. Because when destiny shifts, it does not always begin with noise, it begins with alignment. And alignment starts in the mind, where old beliefs are being dismantled and replaced with truth, where the narrative that said you are behind is being rewritten into the revelation that you are being prepared, where the fear that whispered you are not enough is being silenced by the evidence that you are still standing after everything that tried to bury you, and the fact that you are still here, still believing, still pushing forward despite exhaustion is proof that your assignment is not finished. Because those who are not chosen would have quit in the valley you survived, they would have surrendered in the storm you endured, they would have compromised in the pressure that refined you, yet you held on even when your grip felt weak, even when your prayers felt repetitive, even when heaven seemed silent, and what you did not understand is that silence is not absence, it is construction, it is strategy, it is the careful positioning of pieces that must fit together at the exact right time. And tonight marks the final adjustments of a divine blueprint that has your name written across opportunities you have not yet seen, connections you have not yet made, and rooms you have not yet entered, because what is about to happen next in your life will not be random, it will be precise, it will be calculated, it will be intentional, and it will carry the unmistakable signature of divine favor that no one can replicate or revoke. And you may have felt overlooked in recent months. You may have watched others advance while you remained in what seemed like a holding pattern. You may have questioned whether your sacrifices were invisible, but the truth is you were in incubation, and incubation feels like inactivity, but it is actually intense internal development. It is where strength is built quietly, where character is solidified, where discernment is sharpened, and when the incubation period ends, the emergence is undeniable, and that emergence begins with a mindset that refuses to shrink anymore. That refuses to apologize for existing, that refuses to dim its light to accommodate the comfort of others, because the next chapter of your life requires boldness that matches your calling, courage that matches your capacity, and confidence that matches your preparation, and this night is recalibrating your self-perception so that you stop negotiating with insecurity and start walking with authority. because authority is not arrogance, it is awareness, it is knowing who you are without needing constant reassurance. It is trusting that what you carry has value even if not everyone recognizes it immediately, and soon the recognition you desired from specific people will be replaced by opportunities that validate you without requiring their approval, and that will free you from chasing affirmation in places that were never meant to sustain you, because when the chosen seek validation from those who cannot perceive their destiny, it only creates unnecessary frustration. But when validation comes from alignment with purpose, it produces peace, and peace is about to become your new foundation, not the fragile peace that depends on circumstances being perfect, but the anchored peace that remains steady even when situations are still unfolding, and from that peace you will make decisions that are no longer driven by desperation but by discernment, no longer fueled by fear of missing out but by clarity of direction, and clarity is powerful because it eliminates distraction. It filters out what looks appealing but lacks assignment, it protects you from investing energy into connections that cannot grow with you, and as your clarity increases, your circle will naturally refine, your environment will subtly upgrade, and your habits will evolve to support the version of you that is emerging, because transformation is not just about external breakthrough, it is about internal discipline, it is about daily choices that align with long-term vision. And you are stepping into a season where your consistency will outshine your competition, where your integrity will distinguish you in rooms full of talent, where your authenticity will attract the right partnerships without manipulation, and this shift will feel empowering because it will confirm that you do not need to become someone else to succeed, you simply need to fully become who you were designed to be. And the night is symbolizing that transition from striving to trusting, from forcing to flowing, from doubting to declaring. And declarations are powerful because they set intention in motion, they create mental boundaries that protect your focus, they establish standards that prevent you from settling for less than you deserve, and you are raising your standards not out of pride but out of revelation, because you now understand the cost of accepting what drains you, the consequences of tolerating disrespect, the weight of carrying responsibilities that were never yours. And with this understanding, you are drawing lines that will preserve your energy for what truly matters, and energy is currency in the next season of your life, because where you invest it will determine the quality of your outcomes, and you are learning to invest wisely, to say no without guilt, to walk away without explanation when necessary, to trust your instincts when red flags appear, and these small shifts in behavior will compound into major shifts in results, because destiny is not only about grand moments, it is about disciplined patterns. And the patterns you are forming now are preparing you to handle the visibility, influence, and success that are approaching, because success without preparation creates pressure, but success after refinement creates stability, and stability is what will sustain your elevation, because what is coming is not temporary hype, it is long-term impact, it is the kind of growth that transforms not just your circumstances but your legacy, and legacy is built through character, through resilience, through faithfulness in seasons where applause is absent, and you have been faithful. In hidden places, you have remained ethical when shortcuts were available, you have remained kind when bitterness was justified, you have remained hopeful when cynicism seemed easier, and those decisions are compounding into a harvest that will exceed your expectations, and though you cannot yet see the full picture, you can sense that something is aligning, something is accelerating, something is stabilizing within you. And that internal stabilization is the signal that external movement is near, because when your mind and heart synchronize with purpose, the path ahead becomes less intimidating, obstacles become manageable, delays become strategic, and even opposition becomes confirmation that you are advancing into territory that matters. And as this night progresses, remind yourself that change does not always announce itself dramatically. Sometimes it feels like a quiet resolve forming in your chest, a subtle confidence rising in your thoughts, a gentle but firm decision that you will no longer entertain what undermines your worth. And that resolve is powerful because it shifts how you show up in every interaction, every opportunity, every challenge. And when you show up differently, life responds differently, because you are no longer operating from survival mode. You are stepping into strategic mode, visionary mode, leadership mode. And leadership begins with self-leadership, with managing your emotions, directing your focus, guarding your time, and believing in your capacity even when outcomes are still pending. And you are mastering that internal leadership now, which means when the external platform expands, you will not be overwhelmed by it. You will steward it wisely, you will navigate it with humility and strength, and you will remember the nights like this when everything seemed uncertain yet everything was being decided in your favor behind the scenes. And one day you will tell your story not from a place of pain but from a place of power, not from a place of confusion but from a place of clarity. And you will say that it was during the quiet nights of doubt and reflection that everything truly began to change, because that is when you stopped seeking permission to be powerful and started embracing the truth that you were chosen not to blend in but to stand out, not to shrink back but to rise up, not to merely survive but to transform. And that transformation is no longer a distant promise. It is a present reality unfolding, one decision, one belief, one courageous step at a time. And as you continue through this night, hold on to this certainty that what you are feeling is not imagination, it is initiation. It is the crossing over from who you were into who you are becoming. And once that crossing happens internally, nothing external can permanently reverse it. Because when the chosen decide to fully step into alignment, everything changes, starting within and echoing outward until the life they once dreamed about becomes the life they are living. Chosen one, as this final stretch of the night settles in, understand that what is happening now is not just emotional encouragement but spiritual activation. Because there comes a point in every destined life where inspiration must turn into embodiment, where belief must translate into bold movement, where the internal awakening you have been feeling must become the external reality you are willing to claim. And this is that moment for you. This is the threshold between waiting and walking, between hoping and having, between surviving and strategically building the life that once felt too distant to imagine. Because everything you have endured up to this point has been training, every disappointment has sharpened your discernment, every delay has strengthened your discipline, every betrayal has clarified your boundaries, and every closed door has redirected you toward entrances that align with your true assignment. And now you stand at a silent crossroads where the old version of you, the one who doubted, over-explained, overextended, and underestimated their own capacity, is gently fading, and the new version of you, the one who moves with clarity, speaks with conviction, chooses with confidence, and trusts divine timing without panic, is rising steadily. And this rise will not be chaotic, it will be controlled, intentional, and rooted in a deep understanding that you no longer need to chase what is meant for you, because what is aligned will recognize you as clearly as you recognize it. and in the days ahead you will notice subtle confirmations that this shift is real, conversations that open unexpected pathways, ideas that flow with unusual ease, opportunities that feel both stretching and perfectly timed, and even challenges that once would have overwhelmed you will now feel manageable because your perspective has matured, and perspective is power. It determines whether you interpret delay as denial or preparation, whether you see opposition as proof you should quit or confirmation that you are advancing into meaningful territory, and you are no longer interpreting obstacles through insecurity but through insight, which means nothing that happens next will shake you the way past seasons did, because you now understand that pressure does not mean you are failing, it means you are being fortified, and fortification precedes expansion. And expansion is written into your future in ways that will stretch not only your circumstances but your influence, your voice, your reach, and your impact. And impact is the true reward of the chosen, not just personal success but the ability to shift environments, inspire resilience, and create pathways for others who are walking through valleys you have already survived, and your story is being crafted with that larger purpose in mind, which is why the lessons were intense, the isolation was necessary, and the refinement was thorough. Because superficial preparation cannot sustain significant calling, and you were never designed for small, fragile victories that collapse under pressure, you were designed for stable elevation, for growth that compounds, for favor that is supported by character, and this is why tonight feels different, because something inside you has locked into place, a decision that you will no longer betray your own potential by shrinking to fit spaces that cannot contain your vision. A commitment that you will no longer accept relationships that require you to dilute your authenticity, a realization that you are allowed to outgrow versions of yourself without guilt, and that realization is liberating because it releases you from internal conflict, it frees you from trying to maintain identities that were built around survival rather than purpose, and once that internal freedom settles in, external freedom follows naturally, because your energy shifts, your standards rise, your focus sharpens, and the quality of what you attract begins to mirror the clarity you now carry, and there will be moments soon where you pause and recognize that the things you once prayed for are quietly becoming normal parts of your life, peace that does not depend on constant reassurance, provision that meets your needs without panic, connections that feel reciprocal rather than draining, creativity that flows without forcing, and confidence that does not require comparison to feel secure. And when those moments arrive, remember this night, remember that transformation did not begin when circumstances changed but when you decided to align your thoughts, your habits, and your expectations with the truth that you are chosen, and being chosen is not about superiority, it is about responsibility, it is about stewarding your gifts wisely, protecting your integrity fiercely, and walking in humility even as doors open that once seemed permanently closed. And humility will protect your elevation because it keeps you teachable, it keeps you grounded, it keeps you aware that every breakthrough is both a blessing and a trust, and you will handle that trust well because you have learned what it feels like to have nothing but faith to stand on, you have learned how to rebuild from scratch, how to encourage yourself when applause was absent, how to keep moving when clarity was limited, and those skills are priceless because they ensure that no matter how high you rise you will never forget how to endure. And endurance is what separates temporary success from lasting legacy, and legacy is now part of your focus. You are no longer thinking only about immediate relief, You are thinking about sustainable growth, about impact that outlives trends, about decisions that your future self will thank you for, and this maturity signals that you are ready for the next dimension of your journey, ready not because you feel fearless but because you have learned to move forward despite fear. Ready not because everything is perfect but because you understand that perfection is not required for progress. Ready not because all questions are answered but because you trust that clarity will meet you as you step, and stepping is crucial now, stepping away from environments that limit you, stepping toward opportunities that stretch you, stepping into roles that challenge you, stepping out of patterns that once felt safe but no longer serve your growth. And each step will reinforce the truth that this night was a dividing line between hesitation and action, between passive wishing and purposeful building. And as dawn approaches metaphorically in your life, you will sense that the heaviness of the past season has lifted, not because every external issue has vanished but because your internal posture has shifted from uncertainty to authority, and authority changes everything because it influences how you negotiate, how you communicate, how you plan, how you respond, and how you envision your future. And your future is no longer a vague hope, it is a clear direction. Supported by disciplined action and unwavering faith, and when setbacks attempt to reappear you will not crumble as before, you will analyze, adjust, and advance, because resilience is now embedded in your identity, and that identity is stable, anchored in the understanding that what is meant for you will not require you to compromise your values, what is destined for you will not bypass you, and what is aligned with your purpose will find you as surely as you seek it, so stand firm in this awareness that tonight truly marked a shift, not a temporary emotional high but a foundational recalibration, a realignment of vision, belief, and behavior. And from this point forward your life will reflect that recalibration in tangible ways, through opportunities that match your preparation, through relationships that honor your growth, through achievements that mirror your discipline, and through a peace that confirms you are walking in step with your calling. And when you look back months from now you will recognize that everything began to accelerate after you embraced the truth that you were never behind, never forgotten, never overlooked, only being positioned, strengthened, and refined for a level of impact that required depth, maturity, and unwavering faith. And now that those qualities have been forged within you, nothing can prevent what is coming next. Because the chosen who decide to fully rise cannot be stopped, and you have decided, and that decision will change everything.